good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm coming in with a special guest today. This is for real. This is a special guest. I know I say that about everyone, but this a special guest for real. We have a Fort Worth, Texas legend right here. We have Pastor Dr. Bell coming in, checking in today. Some of y'all may or may not know who Dr. Bell is. And before we jump into this thing, guys, if you tuning in, whether you watching live or whether you watching later on down the road, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Black Empowerment Movement. If you like this video, like it, share, leave a comment. If you disagree with some, or you do agree, leave a comment. But most definitely share it and subscribe. We're trying to keep the channel growing, so subscribe to the YouTube channel and also make sure you share it as well. But without further ado, Dr. Bell, give her, let the people know who are you. A little bit about yourself.
Well, listen, peace and power, free the land, free the people, Imhotep, Assalamu alaikum, Black Power. This is, I'm Dr. Michael Bell. I am the national spokesman for the Tarrant County Local Organizing Committee. I'm the facilitator for Unity in the Community Coalition. And literally, as you are my brother, I'm a brother who's trying, doing all I can to help emancipate and liberate our people from the present, we're from the hegemony of and the domination of these races in these yet to be United States. And so for years, we have been fighting. Since 19, from the age of 19, I was the national chairman ad hoc of the Black Hand Nation People's Party for Self-Defense at age 19.
Oh, wow.
And then really from there, everything just took off. Had an opportunity to participate in protests, marches. I've had some awesome lawyers, including, by the way, Jasmine Crockett, who is running for Congress. Jasmine Crockett was my lawyer, and some things we were doing that the city of Fort Worth launched against us. And as a matter of fact, we've had to have several lawyers still going to court, still dealing with things that were done back in 2019. And so we're doing that. And we back in the last century, led protests downtown during the Christopher Brodsky trial, when Donald Thomas, our brother, was killed sitting on the back of a truck, and the brother was killed by skinheads. And they had that trial back in like 91 or 92 here in Fort Worth. And the guy, one of the shooters, received a 5-year probation. So we protested. They moved the trial down to to Galveston, went down there, and finally he was convicted. Another guy, Jason No, shot a guy named Daryl Bivens in the back. Right down here on the corner Star Cup at that little store down in that strip mall. A guy named Daryl Bivens, as a matter of fact, he was murdered there by Jason No. And again, they came back with a 5-year the jury came back with a 5-year probated sentence. And so we protested. He was retried and got some time. In addition, just to all of the different shootings, all police shootings by these merchants who have come into our community, and literally, especially back in the 90s, they would the way they treated, and the way our people still treated in these stores.
So
And
you've been doing this for a while now. You as they say, you're not new to this. You just true to this. So
that's it. That's it. You have
yeah.
what you have, brother. You have to. You can't get caught up in whether or not people are applauding you or patting you on your back. You see what I'm saying? You have to be.
Mhm.
You have to love the people. I love Black people. That's what drives me. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. You see, you can't get caught up in that. That's all. That's the noise. You
Yeah.
see, that's that noisy negative that you're gonna be confronted by. So you can't get caught up in that. Um, and so all through the years, marched with Jesse Jackson way back when we marched around the White House, 1600 North Capitol Street, way back during the Nixon day.
Wow.
March right when Nixon was president, marched around the White House, with Jesse Jackson, just you name it. We shut down City Council with Lee Alcombe when Lee Alcombe was president of the NAACP in Dallas. We shut down City Council in Forest Hill because of what was going on. All of this is well documented. So just up through the years, changed the dynamic here in Fort Worth ISD because they were doing racetrack, and those magnet schools were basically, you had what they call a school within a school. And so what they were doing, they were spending more money on the students in the magnet school than they were on the regular students, and they weren't the regular students were called they were disposable. So we protested that for 6 years. We marched at Tanglewood for 6 years.
Wow. Now I'm gonna jump back into that, but I want to I want to ask you more something personal. How did you get into ministry? What brought you to ministry?
Really, to be honest with you, I didn't like preachers. Couldn't stand them. I used to call them chicken eaters. Really, to be honest with you, used to call preachers chicken eaters. Couldn't stand preachers. Didn't have just had had an aversion to church. But and I say this all the time: God has a strange sense of humor. And so what I did is that I got called to ministry. Really wasn't anticipating it. Was not a church person. Was not attending church. It was so strange how it happened. But the bottom line is that I ended up in the pulpit. But I'm gonna tell you what helped me. What helped me is that I went to Howard University, the Capstone University, and there, when I went to seminary, there everything was in the Black experience. So when they talk about New Testament, it says New Testament in the Black experience, Old Testament in the Black experience, theology, and everything was tied inextricably to the Black experience. And so, and not only that, had an opportunity. I went to class with Ben Chavis. Remember hearing about Ben Chavis Muhammad, who helped organize the Million Man March? He was a classmate of mine. The father of Black theology, James Cone, was a visiting instructor at Howard University. So had an opportunity to meet, heard Daddy King, heard some pivotal Black soldiers and pioneers. And so that influenced me. And then not only that, had an opportunity to go do my doctorate at ITC in Morehouse, where J.D. Otis Roberts was, Dr. Thomas, Carolyn Grant, those folk who were always in the movement, you see. And so I had an opportunity to be impacted and influenced by them.
Oh wow! See that I'm learning something new. That I'm just listening. I'm like I'm learning something new too. Yeah. So because this is all new. I did not know any of this. I know Dr. Bell, but I didn't know Dr. Bell. So this is all new to me as well. So you kind of already explained my next question. I was about to ask you, like, overall, what kind of separates you from other pastors locally in the area?
What happens too often? That's what, and I've written about this in my blog, plantation preachers, and that's really a problem even now in 2022. Too often, the pastor, the preacher, doesn't love the folk to the extent that he ought to, or that she ought to. What that pastor is concerned about is going downtown. You can't represent people if you're going downtown with your hand out. You cannot, because anybody give you money, what do? They control you.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody gives you money, like if I go get a grant, then guess what? There's stipulations in that grant. If I go get money from downtown, so what happens too often, in order to fund worthwhile programs, pastors end up being really enslaved in a way to the powers that be. And so you want to avoid that. At my church, we've never applied for nor accepted a grant ever. We don't accept money from outside. You see, that's the key. You got to be able to be free as a pastor. If you're going to help the people, this is my perspective, brother. You got to be able to be free. I teach at Bright Divinity School at Texas Christian University, but the thing is because of the academic freedom that a professor has. That's why you have a lot of activists who are really in the academy, because you have that academic freedom. That no school wants to be able to say, I shut down Ken 2 because he was fighting for black folk. That's a bad smear on that school. You see what I'm saying? And so you have academic freedom. Nobody comes and tells you, hey, don't do this, don't do that. Nobody tells you that. But too often what we do, and you have to care for the people. People are people. You can't get caught up in frustration and all of that. You have to love people and recognize, as our sister did, Harriet Tubman, recognize some folk just don't want to be free. They will fight against you when you're trying to free them. I remember years ago, we were protesting at another town, and a group that I was leading. And what happened was the folk who were cussing us out were the people who called us in to help.
Oh, wow.
Because we frightened them. They didn't expect us to take it to the extent that we took it. And so what we did is that we literally, when they called us in, we really meant business. So we came in full force, came in protesting. Our idea was to shut that store down. Well, what happened is that, of course, the store was owned by a white guy in that city. He called the police and they came down and so forth. But our opposition was from the people in the community who called us in the first place. But you got to be, if you're going to fight for our people, you can't get frustrated and caught up in that.
So are you saying that just, I guess they locally in the city of Fort Worth, do you think a lot of the pastors are per se what we call bought off or anything like that?
Let me say it this way. I haven't seen many free pastors in Texas. Let me just say it that way. Without casting aspersion, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen pastors who genuinely, not many, who genuinely love the people. See, that to the extent that they're willing to go out on a limb.
Yeah,
you got to be you. It's easy to talk about it, right? You haven't been talking about it. You got to be about it. And so the thing is that too often we talk about what we are about what we're about, but we're not. We don't make the moves. We don't put it into action. We don't actualize it. So if we really believe, see, the thing is here's another piece. Why is it? I think it's important that if pastors tell the truth of the matter is that the Bible is a Black history book. That's the truth of it. The truth of the matter is that there's nowhere in the world Jesus looked like those pictures like he's from Scandinavia and Norway and Sweden and all of that. Not really. That's not really that's not a legitimate image. What happened is that those artists who drew those kind of paintings, they went to a tavern and they saw somebody say, he looks like Jesus. That person looks like Judas. And we hang it on our walls. Those pictures aren't sacred. And so what we do is that I just tell the truth. That the bottom line is this, is that there's nowhere in the world Jesus looked like any of those pictures. Jesus was not white. Not at all. And guess what? Scholars know this, but they're not saying it.
No, and they won't, because they'll lose. They're afraid they may lose money.
There you go. You just told the truth. They're afraid they lose money and following.
Yep.
Mm.
So let's get up to date. So right now, in your honest opinion, or what
Hmm.
is the current state of Fort Worth right now? What in your opinion, from what you said, what is the current state? What is the pulse of Fort Worth? What's going on?
First of all, when you talk about Fort Worth is in Texas. Texas is in these yet to be United States. And the bottom line is that we don't have. This is not a democracy. It's what it's called. And we know this too. Scholars know this. It's an Herrenvolk. Herrenvolk. It's a Herrenvolk
Mm,
democracy. And a Herrenvolk democracy is when one group, one ethnic group, basically has all of the goods and service access to all of the goods and services. One ethnic group, a racial group, is considered to be better and superior. That's called a Herrenvolk democracy. That's what we live in. So now, having said that, Fort Worth is in Texas. Texas is in the United States. These yet to be United States. And so Fort Worth is no different than any other town in this Herrenvolk democracy. I don't see, I think Fort Worth, racism is prevalent in Fort Worth as it is any place else. There's self-hatred in our community. If you pass by our church, what do we have? Lord, deliver us from what? Racism, from self-hatred. It's right down my board right now outside. And from COVID-19. And the thing is that literally what we have is that in Fort Worth, you have right now we're getting ready for the trial. Why is it that they've had everybody else's trial, but they haven't had the trial for Aaron Dean for murdering our sister Tatiana? You were there, brother. You remember you were there on the steps right next door to her. You and the brothers and sisters and the BEM were right there, standing out there when right next door to where Tatiana lived. And the bottom line is when we had that rally, you remember that.
yep.
And so that in Fort Worth, black folks still get killed by police in Fort Worth, even among the ranks of Black and Latinx police. That's disaffection because the Police Officers Association, the POA, is predominantly is run by a white hierarchy. And so, and the POA, the Police Officers Association, has sway here in Fort Worth. So the bottom line is that this is Fort Worth is no different than any place in Mississippi. You know,
Mhm.
Money, Mississippi, a place in Money, Mississippi was where our brother Emmett Till was murdered in Money, Mississippi. Fort Worth is just a larger Money, Mississippi. You know, it could be, you could take Fort Worth and transplant Fort Worth into Louisiana or Florida. It's the same place. You see, we still have the same. We still have people who are right now, we're going to talk about that in a minute. You see what I mean? The most obvious evidence of this ongoing racism that seems to permeate every facet of our society is that what's going on with the school boards.
Yeah,
And
let's jump into that. So the school board. So what is going on with the Fort Worth ISD situation? Like we know in the city, the Fort Worth city and the Fort Worth ISD, and the majority of the students and the parents are either your black people or your Latinx Hispanic group, well, I like the Latinx group of people, but it still seems like the minority of the Caucasian folks are running the show. So what's going on on that front?
you said it right. The bottom line is you have 89% of the student body in Fort Worth ISD is black and brown.
Mm-hmm.
89%. Okay. Now, that 89% and growing. And so you have people from really many of those from the Tanglewood area. As a matter of fact, from Tanglewood and those areas where you have a predominant white populace, they're calling the shots. They are the ones. Listen, right now you go to a school board meeting and you see what's going on all over this country, is that the alt-right, see, they got that nice name for it, but it's just really the next iteration of the KKK. It's called the alt-right. And
Mm.
and with the alt-right being out now, they're out now. You know, the outright those who are white racists. You even have them in Congress who they don't run away from it. They're who they are, and so now racism has gone mainstream. It has always been. You see, that's what the critical race theory says, is that racism is a part of everything we do. That's what CRT says, but it's not taught in the public schools, contrary to the lies that are being told. It's taught in law school and in some facets, some places, in some graduate schools. Because, you know, but the bottom line is that you have these white folk who go downtown, these intolerant whites. You have these so-called conservative whites. And by the way, they're led by the evangelicals, white evangelicals. These are for white folk who have hijacked Christianity. They've hijacked Christianity. Like for instance, First Baptist Dallas. I don't mind calling his name. He knows how I feel about him. Robert Jeffries and others. And so they've literally hijacked Christianity. So what they do is that they promote hate. They don't. You know about Senate Bill 3. About what is going on with that the teachers are limited in what they can say about race.
So what is, explain that? What is Senate Bill 3? I haven't heard of that. What is, and I know some people watching probably haven't either.
Well, what it is that it limits what a teacher can say about equity, diversity, and race. That's the short of it. That's the
have that been passed and signed into law now?
Yes, oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why we had a meeting last night, because we know that the community has not been focused on this. So then watch this. Not only that, they're taking books out of the public school libraries. This is,
oh wow.
I can't make this stuff up. I got this stuff all everywhere. I cannot make this stuff up. They're taking books. I think they have, let me look here. I think they have a deal where they've taken over, they've taken the Beloved by Toni Morrison. They've taken these books out of the library because they say that they focus on race. And you know what they're doing it for? They said because it leaves their children, here's the phrase, they got white guilted.
What?
That's right. That's what they talk about. White guilted. That's the phrase. White guilted. In other words, the white kids learn about what their ancestors did, and literally what their parents and grandparents, their ancestors did. And so then they have this guilt. That's what they call it, white guilted, that they're saying discussions about race and diversity and equity, that it leaves their children white guilted. So what they want to do, they want to whitewash history. They don't want the school teachers to talk about the Trail of Tears and how indigenous Americans, so-called Indians, were treated in this country. They don't want to tell the truth about, they want to keep talking about remember the Alamo. Well, listen, hell, the Alamo, listen to what this is about. You're talking about remember the Alamo? That the Mexican government at that time, they were concerned about liberating black folk. All you just check it out. Everything I'm saying can be Googled. And so they tell, and all those people that are revered, David Crockett,
Sam Houston,
Sam Houston, all of those. Listen, those were criminals. All you have to do is listen. All this stuff about check me out, Google it. All they have to do is Google about Christopher Columbus. He never set foot on North American continent. He was down in the Caribbean, and he was a murderer. And so forth. All of this, if the audience would just research, and they will find out Not some. This is not some conspiracy theory. This is not some wacko type. This is just the truth. And the truth, what most of the times it sounds stranger than fiction because we've been taught a certain way, right? And so now you got a school. They go down to the school board, and when they go down to the school board, you have these. And last night, anyone who was at the meeting last night, they were told how these people act. These people, they loud talk when they're not even up there to speak. They're rude. They're insulting. And you got our representatives in the Latinx, the Latina sister, Martinez, I think that's her name. I'm not sure, but the thing is that and Cento just said, "Hey, enough of this." You see, he's no longer on the school board. He left. He quit. He resigned because these people have gone down there and they are attacking, they are assaulting the equity and diversity work that's being done by the school district. And that's literally what we're dealing with. Our children are in trouble. Our children are in trouble and we're twerking. Our children are in trouble. And guess what? We're learning the latest dance, trying to keep up with whatever Ye and Kim are doing, that craziness. You know, the Kardashians and Kanye West trying to keep up with what they're doing. You understand? And boot camp, marriage boot camp, and all that kind of stuff, all those diversions, and missing what's really going on with our children. Our children are under assault. 72% of those students who are disciplined are African American.
So what would you say is the solution, Dr. Bell? So we know this is going on. Mm-hmm. Like, does it make sense to separate from the Fort Worth ISD? I don't even know if that's possible. I'm just throwing this out here. Like, what cards do we have to play in this situation?
Here's what we've done. We did the Tarrant County LOC years ago. That was a move we took signatures and all of that to try and form a separate school district. That was possible back in the mid and late 90s. Now, what we can do now is go down to those school board meetings and be very vocal and show up in decent numbers and speak every time they meet. We need to speak about and support of the diversity and equity work. We need to show up and be supportive of Quentin Phillips and those who are working on behalf of our children, Black and brown children. We need to be doing that on a consistent basis. That's part of the solution. That's not the end.
So, but who is the we?
The community. That's why we met last night. We had a community action meeting last night. That's why we met last night.
My thing is, how can we get the parents involved? Because at the end of the day, that's who needs to be there. I mean, I can have so much passion behind this. I don't have no kids. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, much as I'm behind it, I'm not a parent either. So how can we get the parents involved to go down to these school boards? I mean, like, what solutions can we do to get the parents involved? Because I guarantee they working class people, they working class parents, they don't have enough attention and energy to give to this. So how can we get them involved if possible?
Watch this. Our ancestors were working too, and yet they found the time. All of our ancestors were surviving hand to mouth. They didn't have a lot of resources, but they were able to do it. We have to prioritize it. But before, we can't wait until all of the parents all of a sudden become conscious. We can't wait until that. What we have to do as a community, I don't have children in the school district, but that does not prevent me from doing the right thing, as Mike would say. And so therefore, it's my responsibility, is our responsibility as a community, as the village that our children live in and depend on, is our responsibility to go down there and to speak at those school boards, be supportive of those policies that are in our best interest, and then elect persons to those school boards who really speak up and in behalf of our interests. That's what's important. And so the thing is, we don't have to wait. We can do that. As a matter of fact, we're planning on doing that this coming Tuesday at 5:30. We plan on going down to the school board and speaking and so forth. And then hopefully parents and others will see this. And we because watch this. What we have to do, our brother chairman, is we got to get this information out. We have to get this information out. A couple of years ago, I spoke at in Atlanta, Georgia, for the New Black Panthers. At the time, the late brother and great brother Hashim Nzinga was chairman of the New Black Panthers, and I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and spoke at the tribute to Khalid Abdul Muhammad. And in what I shared with them, and what I shared with them was this: is that we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Either we just bow down and allow these folk to keep their knees on our necks, or we at least fight. And I choose fighting every time.
Exactly.
I'm struggling every time. I'm going to die, but I'm not going to die with not fighting. I plan on fighting until my last breath because first of all, because these are people, my people are worth the struggle. And they're worth the fight. I don't care about whether or not they realize it. Sometimes, as a parent, I mean, you say you don't have children. I have grown offspring, and you know what? As a parent, I had to do what was best for them anyway, even if they didn't understand it. And sometimes that's what we have to do, and hopefully they'll catch on, and hopefully we can mobilize an entire community.
Exactly. So what day is the meetup? At the school board meeting, and what if you have the address too? What address is it?
I'm going to get that address. Right.
Don't worry about it. When I get it, I'll post it too.
That meeting. Let me do something real quick.
Go ahead.
That meeting is going to be Tuesday. This coming Tuesday. Let's see. Let me do this real quick because I think it's that important. And
all right, take your time. So basically, folks, it's like the Fort Worth ISD. We have a lot of outright racist, white supremacist people. They're down there dictating the school policies for a school district that have over 80% mixture of between black and brown students, and the other probably less than 10% are white. But we have the minority of the group dictating what is taught in the curriculum for the 90% of the students in the Fort Worth ISD school district, which is crazy. So that's the plan is to get involved in the school district and to change these white supremacy racist policies coming up.
Oh yeah. The plan is to here's the plan. The plan is to go down there and support the equity and diversity work. Go down there, ask questions, and then press and push back for Fort Worth ISD for better outcomes for our children, for as far as disciplinary problems. Why is it that black kids are overwhelming? 23% of the student body is African American, 63%, something like that. More than that is Latinx. So then 89% of the student body, black and brown. It is important, but yet 72% of those disciplined are African American. Something is wrong with that. And so what we need to do is go down there and ask questions, and not only that, demand answers, and push back against this, the outright, the intolerant whites. They want to dominate the education of our children. That's crazy. And if we allow that 10% of less than 10% of the student body is what? is white. And you mean it because you got to factor in, indigenous Americans and so forth, and that takes the racial ethnic minority, so-called, over 90%. So then we cannot allow them, like you said, the minority. They are literally a minority, a white minority. We cannot allow them to control the education of our children. And we can't do that. So we have to go down there. We have to make demands. We have to ask questions, and we have to be consistent and persistent. The meeting is going to be March the 22nd, 2022, and they gave a date, and I didn't see it right away up there, but we can get that date. If they would get in touch, make sure they check the BEM page, and be sure to check the Greater St. Stephen First Church page. We can get that information, and then there will be others. We have names and numbers of others who participated last night, and we have their numbers. We're going to email all of this information to them so that we can get that information out, so that we can go down to that board. And it's not a one-time thing. We have to do it consistently, and we have to stay with it, because they're not going to give up. These folk have been emboldened, you see. And so now that they have been emboldened, they're not going to give up. They're not going to stop, and we are going to have to meet them. We're going to have to push back against these people.
And that's the and this is you right about this, because this is a hill they willing to die on too.
Oh yeah.
This is serious. This is like they last battleground right here. This is they rallying cry, because the governor of Florida is doing the exact same thing too with their laws. So it's like Florida and Texas, their laws are very, very similar. We all know the governor of Florida is going to probably be the next president. So we might well get ready for this nationwide. All those red states is going to do a carbon copy of what Florida and Texas is doing. So people, get ready, because y'all going to have a fight coming up soon in your state as well. So we going to fight our local battle, but it's going to take a community effort. It's going to take people from all different strengths and different areas of expertise to fight this battle for the kids, because that's what we currently is up for a battle in Fort Worth. Me personally, Dr. Bell, I just wish it was a way we can just separate from the ISD.
You know what? I'm with you on that, but what we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to be serious about it. Brother Baba Amin,
had
a school and we didn't support it. He had a school. As a matter of fact, we let the academy that our brother Baba Amin was leading. We let them use our facilities free of charge, because of the fact that they were doing that kind of work. It's important. Churches have all these buildings. We can do this, but see, but here's what we got to fight. We still have to fight the mentality. Who was that? Our brother did a book, Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery.
That's one of my favorite books.
And there's another book by Tom Burrell called Brainwashed. And what we have to do is that we're so locked in, and our brother El Haj Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X said it well, that we have people who will say, if the house is burning, the master's house is burning down, it say, master, our house is burning down. If the master is sick, then there are those who will say, master, what's going on? Are we sick? They're so linked psychologically to this thing. Listen, we're on the Titanic, brother.
And Dr. Bell, and more of regardless of what people believe in,
Right.
Something greater is pushing us towards where we need to go, but we fighting against it.
That's
So
right.
right now, what we doing is going to the school board. We just trying to patch it up. We just
That's
trying
right.
to patch up some that's leaking, and then another hole created. We running to patch up. But at the end of the day, Dr. Bill, what you stated, we got to do that model what Amin had, and for the Huru Academy, we need to have all these churches
That's right.
open up their churches so we can teach our own and raise our own kids. And then all these teachers, we have educators. We
Right.
need to pull our own educators to teach our own kids. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to be easy.
Right.
It's not going to be, it's going to be mistakes made. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, that's the goal we need to be pushing for, piece by piece, day by day, getting to that point. It won't happen overnight. It won't be one quick swoop, but we need
Right.
to be putting building blocks in place to get to that point. And and my biggest frustration, I'm tired of patching up these leaky holes of fighting this school board, and then we win that battle, then another battle come about. At the end of the day, they don't want to have shit to do with us.
Right.
I
Right.
and I don't want to.
And you're right. And you're right. And you're right. At the end of the day, here it is right here. The address is right here. And I thank our brother Q for getting this to me.
Oh yeah, good brother.
1050 Bridgewood Drive. That's right over there.
Yep, right down the street from me.
Right. Bridgewood Drive, Fort Worth, 76112.
Oh yeah, that's 5 minutes away.
That's right. Bridgewood Drive. And you mean tell me we can't come over there? They gonna outnumber us going to Bridgewood? That's our neighborhood.
That's East Side.
Yeah, that's our neighborhood. So 1050 Bridgewood Drive on March the 22nd. And brother, let's go back to what you said. You're exactly right. What we're doing is that literally we're putting Band-Aid or cold cream on cancer, literally, because this thing is already sick. But until we have a viable alternative, we have to do something. We can't write off our kids, while we're waiting for folk to wake up. And right now, I agree with you 1,000. As a matter of fact, I would that Baba Amin was still here, and others here up in Fort Worth, and say, hey, you know what? We want a school. Guess what? I would immediately give them free facilities immediately. And Baba Amin knows this. And so the thing is that in churches, all these buildings, we could have enough because if we're expecting, what's this? We're expecting people who don't like us to educate our children, because over 60% of the teachers are Anglo. Even though the student body is 89% and counting, Black and brown, and then over 90% if you add in indigenous people and so forth. And the bottom line is this: is that you mean to tell me that we rather entrust the education of our children to people who will shoot them in a heartbeat? We got a lot to do with it. We got to address this issue of self-hatred in our own community. We have some major issues we have to address, but we got to start somewhere.
I'm with you. We got to start somewhere, and this will open the eyes, and this this need to be an eye opener for people so it'll open up eventually those discussions that we are having now.
Right. I think that's why what you and the Black Empowerment Movement is doing through these broadcasts is so very important. This is important, brother. What you're doing. This is pivotal, because what's going on is that we need to get the information out, and this is one way. And what I'm going to do is this: I'm going to push this broadcast that you have, because we can get some truth out, And the truth needs to get out to our community about what's really going on, and how we listen. We don't have, like you said, this thing is heading in a direction anyway. We already know where this thing is headed. If just say if the guys in Florida gets elected, if Trump gets reelected, you know where this thing is going. Where you think black folk gonna be?
Listen, the guy in Florida is 10 times worse than Trump. Trump got a lot of bark. This guy got some bite.
That's right. He does. He does. And the deal is that, you know what? What's his name? Santos?
Yep.
And watch this. Why is it if you get somebody like a Ted Cruz, there's that name Cruz. That's not an Anglo name. If you get somebody like that and get them Santos, that's not an Anglo name. And you get them, and they're, you know what? They'll outdo any races. They outdo them. They outdo Marjorie Green. They'll outdo any races. And so what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to recognize, okay, this thing is heading in a certain direction. Okay, if somebody say, hey, you know what? We want to start a school. Then the community is going to have to get behind that. We don't listen. They don't have to be our best friend or our BFF. They don't have to be our Facebook friend in order to back them up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Support them, and we're going to have to get beyond this pettiness and because right now our children are at risk. Do you know that the largest group of children, of young people who are suicidal are black males ages 5 through 12?
I believe it.
Hey, the statistics are incontrovertible. And so the thing is that our kids didn't used to commit suicide and do stuff like that. But we're going to have to do something about saving our children. If we don't save our children, we won't have a future. And so it's extremely important. It's extremely important that we be about it.
Man, y'all hear it, folks. Like I said, if you're watching right now, please remember to subscribe, share this video. We need to get the word out about what's going on in Fort Worth, and we got to get the people to come out to the school board meeting on Tuesday. So share this video, go back and watch it to get the address and the time. So share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're going to keep having guests like Dr. Bell. We're going to have Dr. Bell, I'm sure, on this another live stream again. So remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video, and let's get the message out, people. That's if you watching and you in the city of Fort Worth, or you just in Dallas, the local BFW area, share this. Let's spread the word. That get as many of our people we can to go to the school board meeting this coming Tuesday on the 22nd. We got to make this happen for our kids. Before we get off here, the time went fast. We've been on here for 50 minutes already, Dr. Bell. Anything you want to say before we get off?
I just want to say this, brother. First of all, again, and I've said it already, but I appreciate you and the work that the Black Empowerment Movement is doing, and want to encourage it. If you know what, if our brothers and sisters can join the Black Empowerment Movement, literally, I'm serious.
People don't want structure. I run a tight ship, and they don't like structure.
Well, you know what? Get used to it. Because of what's going on, we're gonna need structure, aren't we?
We're gonna need it.
We're gonna need structure. Join these groups that are doing something for our people, and then listen to those of you who are watching this or will watch this. Listen, you get involved. You don't have to have your hand out. The moment you have your hand out, pastor, reverend, elder, bishop, however you want to characterize yourself, the moment you have your hand out and they put some money in your hand, guess what? They own you. And so it's extremely important that you get free yourself. Before you can emancipate the people or help free the people, you have to get free yourself. Man,
that is so true. That's so true. But like you said, those words are true, people. Do the work. Work on yourself, empower yourself first, and then once you feel like you've empowered yourself and you got yourself in a great state, join any grassroots organization. It's so many. You have You got so many. You got
That's
our
right.
organization, Black Empowerment Movement. You got United Fort Worth. You got
Right.
Community Frontline.
Right.
You
Right.
got so many other or grassroots. Everybody have a place. You know, if
Right.
Black Empowerment not for you, then you have United Fort Worth. So
Right.
it's always options and people to work with in this movement. We have Funky Town Fridge doing great things with that
Yes.
organization.
Yes.
So we got so much going on in Fort Worth. So many great people in the movement for liberation and mutual aid.
Yes.
It's options out there. Just got to
Yes.
get out there and get involved and be willing to get your hand dirty. But other than that, folks, I appreciate y'all for tuning in on this Friday evening. But other than that, as always, all power to the people. Y'all take care.
All power to the people.